YouTube, what's going on? It's Jamar here, Vegas Sense. I got a new video here. In this video, I'm gonna be doing sort of like a mashup between the blue fragrances. So when I say blue fragrances, these are fragrances that sort of have like this aquatic type, I guess, vibe to them. That seems to be, very mass appealing to the public. Usually women tend to love these particular fragrances and men not so much in some cases, especially when you're talking about hardcore fragrance snobs. And just looking at the bottles normally of these fragrances, the bottles normally tend to go for like this blue marine sort of color scheme or vibe. All right, so the four fragrances that I'm gonna be doing this mashup of are gonna be Bleu de Chanel Parfum, Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum, Versace Dylan Blue, and Yves Saint Laurent's Y Eau de Parfum. So what I did with this particular comparison or mashup is I broke these fragrances down into 5 different categories. So the categories are versatility, mass appeal, projection, longevity, and price. So I think that those 5 categories are definitely some of the main factors that you should consider when purchasing a fragrance. Maybe for some might value some of these over the other. Some might not value these particular categories really at all. But overall, I think this is definitely a good way to sort of judge whether or not a fragrance is for you or whether or not it's worth a buy. All right, now obviously I own all of these fragrances, so I do tend to like these sort of mass appealing, I guess you could say blue scents or scents that are sort of generic or synthetic smelling. I mean, at the end of the day, whether or not a fragrance is synthetic or not, or it smells natural, I think as long as it smells good and it smells good to other people, I think really that's the only thing that should matter. And not necessarily if it's from a high-end niche house or what ingredients are, involved in making the fragrance. Because I think to most people who are around you and that will also experience or smell the fragrance, they care nothing about that. They care nothing about how much you paid for the fragrance. They care nothing about who it's by or who it's made by. They don't care about that. They don't care if real ambergris was used or if ambroxan was used. As long as it smells good, I think at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So what I did was I went through each one of these categories and gave each fragrance a rating just based on my own objective thought when it came to that particular category and how it applied to the fragrance. So just running through here, Bleu de Chanel on versatility got a 10. On mass appeal, it also received a 10. On projection, I gave Bleu de Chanel a 6. It definitely sits closer to the skin. On longevity, I gave Bleu de Chanel a 9. Definitely is a fragrance that is an all-day fragrance for sure. And then on price, Bleu de Chanel got the worst rating out of all of these fragrances, and it's because it's the most expensive. Now, this doesn't obviously apply to like the Bleu de Chanel Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum. This is only applying to Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Now, I didn't choose to basically put the EDP or the EDT in this particular comparison, because in my opinion, this is the best iteration of Bleu de Chanel when it comes to the smell, and I would say even the performance, because this does last on me longer than the EDP does, despite what anybody else says. Now that's just on my skin. So overall, Bleu de Chanel Parfum, I gave this one an 8. So moving on here to Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum. Again, on versatility, I gave this one a 10. You know, this one can be worn pretty much in any situation. You know, whether it be formal, casual, night out. I would say that, you know, with the freshness of this fragrance, this is even a fragrance that you could wear in more active situations, like, you know, sports or, you know, close encounters, that type of thing, where, you know, you're sweating, you're hot. This is definitely still the fragrance for that. So versatility, 10 out of 10. Mass appeal, 10 out of 10. There's probably no woman on the planet that doesn't like the smell of Dior Sauvage. As far as projection goes, I gave it a 7. Definitely doesn't project as much as the EDT. Longevity, also a 7. Doesn't last as long as the EDT does. On price, I gave this one a 7. This one is about average for a designer fragrance. I would say maybe average to maybe sort of getting up into the higher range. This one, I believe, for this 3.4 ounce bottle goes for about 110. All right, so overall, I gave Dior Sauvage a 8.2. All right, so the next one here is Versace Dylan Blue. So Versace Dylan Blue, I gave this one on versatility a 8. This one I would say is not as versatile as the other fragrances. And I would say that's because this particular fragrance it has more of a sort of younger man appeal, more juvenile. So I wouldn't say that this would be a fragrance that I could see like a 50-year-old man wearing or something like that. Not saying that it would be totally out of the question, or, you know, he would look dumb smelling like this. I wouldn't say that. It would just all depend on, I think, how that 50-year-old man carried himself. If he carried himself like a mature, gentlemanly type guy, I don't know if I could see this on him, you know. But if he was a maybe younger spirited 50-year-old man, aged pretty well, still looks like he's in his early 40s, late 30s, hey, no problem. You could get away with this one. Mass appeal, gave it a 7. I haven't always gotten the best, you know, comments when it came to this particular fragrance. So not all women like this fragrance. For projection, this one definitely gets a 9. Projects pretty loudly, at least for about the first 2 hours or so. Longevity, it gets an 8. This one, I would say, is like right around like the 8 to 9 hour mark or so when it comes to longevity. And then price, this one gets a 10 out of 10. Price on this fragrance, this bottle, it is a tester bottle, as you can see here on the sticker. But I was able to get this on eBay for about $38-39 or so. And again, this is for a full presentation tester bottle. Only difference is that sticker, and then obviously the box that it came in was like a white box. But yeah, price on this one is really, really good. Unless you were to get this fragrance from like a retail store, which I believe it still goes for about $70-ish in store. Don't ever buy this fragrance at a store. You know, definitely get this off of eBay, Fragrance Net, you know, Fragrance X, whatever fragrance website you can find that's like a gray market site, or eBay or Amazon. get this from there. Don't buy this retail. So overall, I gave Dylan Blue a 8.4. And then we have here YSL-Y Eau de Parfum, and YSL-Y on the Versatility, I also gave this an 8 out of 10. This particular fragrance, I would say, is not the fragrance that you would want to wear to a formal event, because this does sort of have like more so like that night out, sort of loud appeal to it. It's definitely mass appealing. It's a great smelling fragrance, but I wouldn't wear this one formally. I wouldn't wear it to a job interview. I would wear it at work, but definitely I would go easy on the sprays. And I don't think I would wear this to the gym either, because again, this one is pretty strong. Maybe if you put on one spray of this at the gym, it'll be fine, but I think there's better choices, for certain situations when it comes to this fragrance. Mass appeal though, this one gets a 10 out of 10. Haven't really run into anybody that, didn't like the smell of this fragrance. You can maybe run into people that'll say that this is just another blue fragrance, or it's, synthetic smelling, or it's generic. Those people, I guess those are the fragrance snobs that only wear, Creed and Killian and stuff like that. That's fine, but not everybody is necessarily going to be aware of those fragrance houses. Not everybody can afford them. And I would say that not everybody necessarily likes the fragrances on those houses. All right, so mass appeal, 10 out of 10. For projection, this one gets a 9 out of 10 as well. This one projects like a beast. At least for, I would say, the first 2 hours, and then it does sort of tone down a little bit after that. But even after that, it's not like this is like a really close to the skin type of scent. This one still has some really, really nice performance even after that initial 2 hours. I would say this one doesn't really turn into a skin scent on me until about maybe 5.5 hours or so, which is really, really good. And then on the longevity for this fragrance, I also give this one a 9 out of 10. This one is easily an all-day fragrance, at least about 10, 11 hours or more on this one. I would say definitely depending on how many times you spray this on. I wore this the other day, wore about 4.5-ish sprays or so. And I mean, I've sprayed it on at about 9:30 in the morning. Didn't take a shower that night until about, I want to say about 8:30 or so. And I mean, it was still even on my skin. So this one does really good. And then as far as price goes, this one also I give a 7 out of 10. I believe this one goes for about $120 retail, which, that is sort of up there as well. But you can still find this, from different, discounters and stuff like that for a lot less. I was able to pick this bottle up. I picked it up used with like 3 sprays, and I mean, even when I looked at the level, I could tell that this was barely used. Picked it up used with 3 sprays for $80. The seller that was selling it to me normally sells these brand new for $85. So, definitely you can find this for pretty cheap. All right. So overall, I gave this fragrance a 8.6 out of 10. So that makes YSL-Y Eau de Parfum the winner of these blue fragrances based on these categories. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that I think that this fragrance is the best out of all of these fragrances. It doesn't mean that it's my favorite out of all of these. But just going over each category objectively and giving each one a rating, that's pretty much what I came out with was, YSL-Y EDP being the winner of the blue fragrances. So let me know if you all agree with this particular result. If you do, let me know. If you don't, let me know. All right. Also, like, comment, and subscribe. Need to get this channel going. Like, comment, and subscribe. All right. So this is Jamar here again, Vegas Sense. I'll see you on the next video.